Well, common fear most of us face is when you're looking for, and Mark, he really has a thing about dealing with snakes. Oh. But, okay, snakes, especially when it can harm our loved ones, including our pets. So joining us now.
Harm everybody.
Yeah, I know. I know you really. He's been nervous about this. Okay, joining us with tips to keep our dogs safe is Andy Falco Jimenez. To share a story of survival is Alex Thermopoulos, who survival. So yeah,
here's the survivor.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us, we of course here know about the story, but will you share with our audience a little bit about what you experienced about a week ago, right?
Just a week ago. Yeah. Exactly. So I went up to my parents' house. They live, you know, in Thousand Oaks, where it's dry and there's a lot of snakes right now. It's very, very hot. Yeah. And they're very thirsty. Yeah. And I mean, we only saw a snake maybe about a year and a half ago when we first moved in. It was a garden snake. It never occurred to me that a rattlesnake could be in our yard. And I went out to sit by the pool, and he went out normally just without his leash just to use the restroom, and he came back.
Because your yard is closed in.
Yeah, it's all closed in. And I saw him, and he started screaming, you know, and he's throwing his foot back, and I looked at his foot, and he had a gash on it. And he, you know, I've never seen him.
Did he run to you?
He ran straight. I mean, he's such a baby. And he jumped in my arms, and he's, you know, trying to tell me he's hurt. And this was the result. I mean, this was Sunday, right, so a week ago.
Right, a week ago. And this picture was taken, what, just a couple days after?
That was the day after.
The day after
we picked him up.
That thigh is twice the size as it should be.
Exactly. Good to see the difference in the two legs. The one with the bandage is where he was receiving some fluids, and this one here, it looks like a chicken thigh, and the bottom of his foot is where he was bitten.
Yes.
And but it almost started turning that color almost immediately.
Exactly. And you know, I would encourage everybody to call in their neighborhood to find an emergency vet that carries anti-venom, because not all 24-hour emergency places carry anti-venom. So
you had to go to two
places.
places.
What we were scrambling to find was a veterinarian that carried the anti-venom, which, you know, we would have gotten him there quicker.
And on it was a Sunday, actually.
So I got the call from, actually a text from you, but from your perspective, were you home?
I was home because she ran right into the kitchen immediately, and she was shaking so badly. She said, "Mommy, I can't look at his foot, but there's something wrong." And I knew immediately that he was bitten by something, but judging from his reaction and the way it was swelling up so fast, I said, "This is a bite, and this is not a bee or a wasp." And I said, "This is something different." So we went out in the backyard, and oh, look at him. This is what we've, do we have a picture of the snake? Here's a snake with the fire department, and that snake was 13 years old, and we can tell from the rattler, because they, you know, I called Animal Protective Services, but they would not come out on a Sunday. So we called the fire department, and they came and they removed the snake from our backyard. But
we found a black rattler in my backyard too. 2 weeks ago, and we had to wait 2 hours for them to show up. And they're so limited budget-wise that they actually asked me if I had a pillowcase to put the snake in to take it away.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible.
So keep extra pillowcases around.
Yeah. So what we want to ask you, Andy, is what can we do to prevent dogs from, you know, getting attacked in the first place? Is that even feasible?
Well, there's a couple different methods, and one of them that's somewhat popular is the use of an electronic collar. And that is where they turn it to a fairly high level, and they have real live rattlesnakes that are in different situations. When the dog smells, hears, or sees a rattlesnake, they give the dog the stimulation or the shock to associate something really bad with those three things, those three senses.
Well, that's a bit severe.
It is.
Yeah,
it's not my favorite, but it is effective if you have a dog that lives, like, say, in a farm environment or something like that, where it's really hard to control.
Well, the alternative is getting bit by a snake.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know. And so, if you don't want your dog to die and you're in that environment where you can't control where your dog is going, then that's probably one you might want to use, but I'm not a huge fan of it.
Are there any other techniques?
Well, just good sound obedience, and that's not to say anybody here did anything wrong, but good sound obedience so you can have a good recall for your dog. So if you hear the sound of the rattle, you can call your dog to you immediately. Sure. Some dogs, like Labrador Retrievers, become so engrossed in that type of thing and want to go see what it is.
Right.
Sure.
Your recall has to be very, very good.
And I assume, I'm sorry, I assume that you're not pro shock collar just because of the nature of what a shock collar does.
Yeah, there are some uses.
You speak about how you love dogs so much. It doesn't seem.
There are some uses for it. Again, benefits. To keep your dog alive because of the environment you live, it may be the alternative you want to use, but there's other things you can do.
Okay.
All right, well, when we come back, wildlife expert Jules Sylvester has more safety information and will show us how to milk a deadly rattlesnake.
I'll be in my trailer.
Yeah, he's leaving. He's leaving. We'll be right back.